the big difference between the male and the female energies. We're going to stereotype for a little while. Is that okay? We'll stereotype, right? Now, how many of you have read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus? Have you read that book? Okay. The book is phenomenal. It has one flaw. It says men and women. It doesn't say masculine energy and feminine energy. Some men have feminine energy, some women have masculine energy. That's where it messes up. If it said those two things, then it would be great. Because some women reading the book are like, that's not how I am. Because they're masculine energy. So I want to explain the difference between the masculine and the feminine energies. This is how a masculine energy communicates. That is how a feminine energy communicates. I'll help you understand. Ladies, when you ask a man how his day was, a typical man, a stereotypical man, what does he say? Good, fine, okay. One-word answers, right? Because he gave you the answer. Next question, please. Right? They move from, have you ever noticed a guy, they move from topic to topic to topic in their conversations. Women don't do that. They do something totally different. They start one story. In the middle of it, the other woman will totally interrupt and interweave their own story. And then when that story is over, the first woman will finish the story they were telling as if they were never interrupted. It's as if that was part of the story. Men don't do that. When they get interrupted, they start on a new topic. Right? Here's what their research shows. The male energy, the masculine energy, communicates on average 1,000 words per day for the purpose of creating results. Now, if you only focus on results, that's aggressive behavior. That's why we get the aggression from the male category often. Right? So that's how the typical masculine energy responds. The typical feminine energy, guys, you can have some fun too. When you ask a feminine energy or a typical woman how her day was, what does she say? And the women answer this question too. Right? What a typical feminine energy does, if we're stereotyping, is they give you all the details. Here's what the day was like. This was good. This was bad. Here are some of the conversations I had. And eventually, 3 weeks down the line, they get to the point. Right? If we're stereotyping, and I know this because I asked my wife a very long time ago. I asked her crummy question. Crummy questions get crummy answers. I asked her, how was your day? Now, she works in the neonatal intensive care unit at a hospital. Her day's always all over the place. Always. She sees the worst cases, and she sends the worst cases home all right. So I asked her this question 20 minutes into her story of roller coaster of emotions. I said, whoa, I'm sorry, was your day good or bad? She said it was good. I said, okay, tell me your story. Because that's what the male energy wants. The female energy, on average, communicates 3,000 words per day. 3 times as many as a typical guy. For the purpose of creating relationships. That's why they can have that conversation back and forth without feeling interrupted. Because they want to create relationships. So when they ask you, gentlemen, how your day was, or masculine energy, whoever you are, man or woman, when they ask you how your day was, answer the question they're really asking. They're not saying, how was your day? They're saying, tell me about your day. Isn't that how a feminine energy responds? They tell them about their day. They don't say good or bad. They don't answer the question. They tell you how their day was. So how many of you have a boss who's a masculine or a feminine energy? You're realizing, oh, that's why they don't want details, because they're the masculine energy. Or that's why they always seem to want more, because they're the feminine energy. We're looking for relationships over here, which if you only focus on that, you get a passive energy. Because you're so interested in what the other person has to say, you tend to forget about yourself. Which is why a long time ago, you tend to recognize the woman as the passive person and the man as the aggressive person. Now we're seeing that change and we're coming to equal terms, which I think is great in society now. It's just a little bit more confusing. So what I asked my wife to do after the story, I drew this chart, right? Of course I did. I'm an overhelper. I said, take this point, put it at the top. When I say, how was your day? You tell me it was fantastic. Can I tell you about it? And I said, then I'm all ears. Because I realized the typical male energy, we want to know why we're going to see this movie. Tell us, is it good or bad, and then you can explain. Otherwise, we got to figure it out. We don't like games, right? Typical male energy, we don't want to play games. Tell us how it is. Now, how many of you are a male energy in the room? How many of you are female energy? See, and that's okay. How many of you are neither? How many of you are bi? Right? And that's okay. I have a lot more feminine energy in me. I cried at E.T. It's fine. There's no problem with it. What it does is it gives me a leg up because I understand both sides. And that's what I want you to do by using this model. Begin to use it as a model of understanding both sides.